Dangerfield and Morgan Smith.
Of Texas County Game Day.
He wants to leave that off.
You see how he does me?
He like shorts you.
Hey, the Morgan Smith.
I mean,
But we gotta.
I ain't coming back no more.
Morgan's not coming back. We've got another exciting week of football. Although we're only down to 3 teams in our area, but we still have Dangerfield in Texas, and we got Prescott and Spring Hill in Arkansas. Coach Nelson, how's it been so far in the playoffs?
It's been great. You know, we've had a good run. Kids are fired up, still rocking and rolling. We're extremely healthy right now, which I think this is probably the most healthy we've been this late in the playoffs. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, Coach. You know, from watching you guys, actually my team playing you guys and everything, man, it seems like y'all are just everything's hitting at the right time for you. You know, I'll be honest with you. It was hard to gauge you guys coming out of y'all's district. You know, you got like a district like ours where, you know, there's not so many heavy hitters on there. But I'm going to tell you, hey, it's like you got your guys, they're believing, they're going, and like the hat that you got on, I see it in all your pictures, believe. Is that something that you've instilled in that program? Or is that?
Yeah. Actually, I got this hat from Coach Aubrey, coach over here at Texas High now. He was on my staff some years ago, and he gave it to me as a gift, and it just kind of sat there for a year. And then I was looking for, you know, another slogan. Like our main slogan is like win with the number 1 inside of it, about, you know, what's important now, whatever. And then just I didn't feel like it was getting it cut, so then kept looking at the hat, and I was like, you know what, that's what I think I'm going to go with, and just, you know, trying to get them to believe in themselves. You know, we kept running in situations where we'd be up, and as long as we were up and we were running with it, we'd be fine. We, you know, blow people off the table. But then the second we got a little bit of adversity, it's like we didn't, you know, trust ourselves. So, you know, that became a slogan, and that's what we've been going with, and we've been winning with it ever since.
I can definitely tell from the first game of the playoffs to where you guys are at, man, y'all are hitting on all cylinders, and they're believing.
Yeah, man, excited. Dangerfield is one of those just programs. I remember saying for the Harmony game, like, just the name Dangerfield, I'm never going to bet against Dangerfield. Yeah. You know, 9 state championship appearances, 6 state championships, if I'm remembering right. That Hooks game, I actually went to that game, and a guy I went to high school with in 2002, Dangerfield knocked us out of the playoffs in the 4th or 5th round, I believe. And he walked up, and he was like, man, does this, like, not look exactly like what happened to us? And I remember, like, dude, I was just about to walk over there and tell you the same thing. Like, it was just like you couldn't do nothing. It's like the same play's coming. There's nothing you can do about it. And it's just, you know, it's fun football. It's fun small-town football. And, like, the name Dangerfield, everybody in the state of Texas knows about Dangerfield. And speaking of know about Dangerfield, this Newton team, Newton's another name, you know, that everybody knows about. And a lot of people are kind of pegging this as probably the state championship. Anything changed for you on preparation when playing a team like this?
Man, playing Newton, yeah, a lot of changes, you know, because they've got so many different formations. You know what they're going to run. They're going to run the same plays they've been running probably since I was in high school.
Yeah.
But, you know, just getting lined up, getting to the formation, all the different shifts or whatever. One of the main things, I guess, that changes for you is the level of intensity for the kids. Like, they just get locked in, they get zoned in, and they come out to practice, and they're telling you about what's on film before you've had a chance to even talk to them about what's on film.
That's awesome.
That's one of the main things I think that you got to be ready for. And if you hadn't been in Dangerfield before, and, you know, you're stepping in as a coach, it's a little bit of an eye-opener because there's a whole lot of tradition in that town.
Man, I think we're probably about the same age. I'm just going to assume. When we were in high school, we were watching film, but we weren't watching film like they're watching film now. Like, it wasn't.
Heck no.
It wasn't like as detailed as I see now. I mean, would you say so?
No, absolutely. I can remember sitting there watching it, you know, and you basically just watched it with the coach because, well, I'm not going to age myself, but, you know, you didn't have very many copies of that video going around, you know.
I'll go ahead and tell you, our coach had 1 copy of that VHS.
There you go. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But now, you know, with all the different, you know, video platforms and Huddle, you know, they can all log into it. You can track how much film they're watching. They get on there. You know, they can make their own highlight, you know, films. Just that alone, I think, is what's got kids, like, just in tune with it. But, you know, like I said, with our kids, it's about trying to figure out what the team's going to do. So, you know, we got ready to play hooks, and they were like, oh, we got to see what all the hype is about, you know, type thing, whatever. Then last week against West Rusk, you know, what's going on? Like, why are they 3 rounds deep? And then, you know, again this week, 4 rounds deep, you know. So it's just, you look on there, you got some kids that were, you know, from Friday night to Sunday morning they've already watched 4 or 5 hours of film. Like, and it's
awesome.
just crazy.
If you don't know, which I'm sure if you're watching you do, Newton is like one of the most storied programs in the state of Texas, but Dangerfield has more state championship appearances, more state championships, more Elite Eight. I'm gonna call it Elite Eight. More Elite Eight runs. So, I was looking, and this is a game that I feel like could go either way. But Newton has not played anybody like Dangerfield, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we've talked about as a staff is, what on their schedule, has gotten close to what we can do, and we're not really sure. I've been told plenty of times that we don't translate very well on film. We don't look as big as what we are when you get in person. We don't look as fast as what we are until you see us in person.
I can contest to that, Coach.
About to say, Coach, some say you don't look very tough on film. I'm not going to mention any names or anything.
And not really meaning that as a slide, but I mean,
this dude was he's a Hooks homer.
I am. I love my team.
I saw all the little video clips. They were like,
yeah, man, they played him in the locker room and everything.
Yeah.
It's hard to gauge. I mean, you just don't really understand how good Chase is until you see him play in person.
Yeah.
You don't understand how fast he is until you see him run in person.
Buddy, you're just not an expert. That's what the problem is.
That's right. I'm not an expert. I'm an amateur at this, man, but I'm telling you.
What's his nickname, Morgan?
Huh?
What's his
I
nickname?
can't say it on here.
Yeah.
No,
we ain't gonna say that.
No, I like my people in Hooks. I ain't about to get in trouble.
I mean, Coach, you're with these guys every day. You're with these guys. You know how fast Chase is. Mm-hmm. And I was amazed when I seen him run the ball. On film. I don't know if it's because he's how tall he is, but in person, that dude can move.
And he's a big kid too.
Yeah.
He's a big athletic kid, and you don't really, it makes perfect sense what they're saying is that, he does not look as big and as fast when you watch him on video.
Yeah. I think for us, going back and looking at that, because obviously, like you said, I'm with him every day, so I know exactly how big he is. It's the fact that, I don't think people give our O-line credit for how big they are. So when you see him on film standing behind those guys, and when he's out there, walking around like our two running backs, both of our running backs are the shorter one of the two is 5'10", and the other one's 5'11". So I mean, when they're standing next to him, you expect to see a bigger differentiation when you think of somebody being 6'2", 225,
right.
Quarterback,
Right.
But then when his running back is standing next to him, he's 195, and the other running back's 190. It's one of those things where you're like, doesn't look like that much of a difference on film.
I'm telling you, them guys are bigger in person than they look on film.
Yeah.
Something that stands out to me is you guys lost a couple of games early in non-district, but you played Timpson, who is the bully in 2A, with players like Terry Bussey. You also go down to Center and play Center, who's in Carthage's district. How did those type of games prepare you for your district and this playoff run?
Well, I think with those two games, the biggest thing that I think we walked away with was, the Wednesday before we played Timpson, Chase was taking his sister and one of his sister's friends home, and his car got swiped and got flipped over into a ditch. So we don't have him for the next 2 weeks, and that's a Wednesday going into a Friday night football game. So we had Bubba back there playing quarterback for those 2 weeks, and just not having to take Bubba off of the receiver spot and put him at quarterback. You lose that threat out there. You lose Chase as a threat running the ball and throwing the ball. And you're asking an athlete to go out there and change his whole mindset in one day. We had a walkthrough, 30-minute walkthrough is basically what we had with Bubba. And you still go down there and you lose by a touchdown at the very, last series of the game or last drive of the game to Timpson. And then we're up 21-0 on center at halftime. And my center goes down the last 20 seconds before halftime and rolls his ankle. It balloons up on him, so we don't have him come back out in the second half. And they end up coming back. They did a good job coming back, and they beat us by a touchdown the very last play of the game on that one, too. So those two things, I think, seeing the team still realize, like, you played Timpson, you played center, you fought and battled with both of them, still played a really good game. That means that your team is good. It's not just the quarterback that's good, Your team is good. It's not just the receiver that's good. So I think that was our big thing that we walked away with in those situations.
Coach, I've talked several times about how storied of a program Dangerfield is. How tough is it being a coach at a town like this where, like, football is king and you can't run from anybody because there's very few places you can go. People know who you are.
Yeah, no, it's extremely tough. I mean, you better have your boots strapped up every time you walk out the door type place. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're gonna make sure they know. And, for the most part, they know their football. They do a great job of supporting their kids. They're going to follow those kids. They know who those kids are. And it's one of those things where, you don't have a successful wins, a successful season, you're gonna have to hear about it, just as much as you had to hear about, some place. I have to hear about it like that every time we lose. So.
I'm gonna tell you something, Coach. We met a fan base like no other. When we met your fan base.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give Frank Gallagher another shout out because he's still at it. Hey, and they're steady making T-shirts. Not I know they made that one with my face on it, but like the playoff T-shirt. Man, it's like the whole town. If you look at that picture and all the comments on there, I don't know who's making them T-shirts and how much money they cost or whatever, but hey, they sold a ton of them playoff T-shirts.
You talking about the king of memes?
Yeah, that's a
Master of memes.
Master
of memes.
Yeah, he's got me rolling with those.
That your fan base, the kids' parents, hey, they're in it with you.
Yeah,
I mean, 100%.
Like some of these kids, they're having the best time they're ever going to have in their life right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just the truth. And Dangerfield is just one of them places like I grew up in Long Beach, so like I always wanted to be a Lobo.
Right.
But man, if you grew up in that area, you would want to be a Dangerfield Tiger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not for everybody. Programs that win like that, it's not for everybody. It's got to be tough. Like you don't make it to the third and fourth round of the playoffs if it's easy.
Right.
But man, dude, something about them Dangerfield Tigers.
And just kind of a funny little story real quick. I was talking to some War City kids one time, and they was talking.
Oh, they ain't got what it takes.
Oh, I know. So they were talking about, oh yeah, we're the team down here. We're the 259. Whatever you're saying. I said, why don't y'all take it a little more south down there to Dangerfield? Oh, we don't. New Diana as far as we go. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, keep.
Do y'all still have to hear about this '83 team constantly?
Oh yes, they are the kings of Dangerfield.
Man,
that's for sure.
Well,
every time I run into like somebody 80, 85 years old, man, you remember the Dangerfield? No, I wasn't born yet. Well, wasn't born when that was happening, but y'all told me about it a million times.
Yeah.
They gave up 8 points all year.
Something like that.
Yeah, they gave up 2 off of a block extra point, and then they had a pick 6. The defense wasn't on the field for either one of those scores they gave up.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, we know the kids, we know you. Tell us a little bit about your staff, the guys that do the stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah, my offense coordinator is Seth Hubbard. He's been with me. This is his 3rd season with me. This will be the second time that we've both been, that we've been 4 rounds together. My defense coordinator is Steve Wells, a guy that gave me my first job my first football coaching job back in 2008, I guess it was.
Shout out Coach Wells.
Yeah, Hooks man.
Yeah, Hooks guy.
Liberty Islo man.
Started out in Hooks.
Liberty Islo man. Got him a state championship over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out.
I
didn't know he was down there. How did I not know that?
Well,
Ben, you got to do a better job.
No, so I knew this. I was
Well,
talking to Coach.
Ben's the one covering 120 schools. He should be sure I know stuff like that.
I know.
It's 42.
Ben slacks a little bit, but I was talking to Coach before we came on the show, and earlier in the season, Coach and Coach Burwell got together and got our JV guys another game, which we went over and played. And I was walking across the field, and I'm thinking Coach Wells is still down at Lake Fork retired. All I seen fishing.
I thought he was retired. I thought that's what he was doing.
Yeah, I'm cutting across the field, and I seen him turn around, and we're kind of face to face, and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on, Coach Wells?" I had to bring it out of retirement. Come on down here and get back in it. But hey, he's a good one.
I like
he's
Coach
a good
Wells.
one.
He was something serious.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I got, the rest of my staff. I got Tyson Brown, my linebacker coach, and then Taylor Haskell's my receivers coach, and Jermaine Mitchell, another Dangerfield guy. He is my running backs coach, and the kids do a good job for him. Aaron Clevenger's my O-line coach. Chris Traylor is my DB coach, and then Dylan Freeman is my D-line coach. So those are the guys that make up our staff, and they're all pretty, for the most part, pretty young. But they do a great job of taking care of responsibility and getting those kids ready.
And I'll say this, Coach. I know one thing that really amazes me is I guess just as a fan and also as a parent of a kid in the athletic program, y'all's success filters down to them little kids,
Yeah.
and that's one of the biggest things that I like. So, what you're doing now is building that future of Dangerfield.
Yeah.
And they all see what's going on. They see the program, and they want to be there.
Yeah.
So, man, just kudos to you guys, and like Morgan said, we're gonna follow you all the way.
I was once
Appreciate
told
that.
every generation has won a championship in Dangerfield, which
I
is
can
nuts
see
to
that.
even think about.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, that's true.
All the way back to 68 and then 80s and then, early 2000s. I can see that.
It's time for another one.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Man.
I always love a
Been there
trip
4
to
times, I
AT&T
gotta get out
Stadium.
there.
You been there 4 times?
No, I've been there to the 4th round 4 times. It's our
Oh,
4th
okay.
time going to the 4th round. We got it.
I mean, it's when you get to that 4th round, it's tough, especially in your side of the bracket.
That region.
It's not easy.
Oh,
You can be in that West Texas region, and let's say be a North Texas team. Who's the team I'm thinking? Gunner? Is that
yeah,
who
that's Gunner.
I don't know how they end up. They don't play anybody ever.
And the other thing about Gunner,
There's just a difference in West Texas football.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
is nothing against them, but there is a big difference from the type of football that's played here and the bigger schools, Houston, Dallas. There's a reason San Antonio struggles to compete with
Exactly.
those particular schools. But like these West Texas schools, it's over.
Right.
You play a West Texas school, you know you're winning.
Well, you've been to AT&T. I've been there, and you've all. Everybody sees it. When you get matched up from an East Texas team, Dallas to the Louisiana line, versus a team that's on the other side of Dallas, it's a lopsided score.
Yeah.
It always is.
To me, it stops at Alito. Past Alito in football, it's just not very good.
Right.
And y'all know why Alito's good. It's the same reason the entire Fort Worth region's bad.
Right.
It is what it is. But when you get to the smaller school, especially because there are a bunch of really small schools out there, and it's not their fault. There's not, football's not like it is in Dangerfield, Texas out
Right.
there. There's not a tradition like there is there. Like they don't take it as serious. But every time I see Gunner playing a state championship, and they win, I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying they don't have the same route like a Gunner has. Like you have to play quality teams all the way through.
That region that we're stuck in, you make it through that region, you're battle tested. You're ready.
Yeah. Or like me and Coach Johnston, Drew, the guy from Newton, you're either ready or you're beat up because you didn't have to fight so many battles.
Exactly. And I don't want to, because I've been accused of this a bunch of times. I don't want to knock Gunner because they're not terrible, but it's like they don't play nobody all the way up until where they get. They knock off everybody 50-6.
Gunner is almost protected because if you look where Gunner's at, Gunner's on this side of Dallas. Gunner should be playing in this region instead of getting to play Wichita Falls and Canyon and all those folks out there.
Yeah.
Why they're in that region is beyond me.
You can't tell me deals aren't made by the UIL, are they, Coach?
No comment.
Well, speaking of that, Carthage is going to get moved out of the region after
they hope.
this debacle this year.
Yeah. Well, state, somebody who religiously doesn't miss state championship games. I show up on Thursday, don't leave till Saturday night. What we've been watching the last few years has been terrible. Like I understand you don't know who's going to be good, but typically it's the same 4 to 6 teams in every division that have a chance to play, and those are the only ones that can make it. And the way they're lining these up, it has been terrible state championship games after terrible state championships, just blowout after blowout. There is no reason a 5A Division I team should beat another team in a state championship game by 60 points, and they could have beat them by way more. They were up 49-0 at halftime.
Right.
Alito over that team.
Right.
Like, there's no reason that should be happening in 5A football. There are too many athletes on the field. So the week before, 14-17 against Longview. The week before that, Alito wins by 8. The week before that, Alito won by like 14. But you get to the state championship game, and they're 60 points better.
Right.
I mean, come on. And then the smaller schools, same thing. Like there wasn't a good game that I can remember. Maybe I'm going to say there was one because I don't remember, but it just wasn't. It's like when you get there, Region 3 is typically where that team's coming from, if I'm remembering right, and it's just bad football.
Well,
and
it's
like Wimberley playing Carthage.
Right.
Or, the same thing. Like they could beat them by whatever they. I mean, it was like watching kids play men.
Right.
I was on the field working, and I quit working after the first quarter. I was like, I'm done with this, and I actually just went back to my hotel room. I was just disgusted by what I was watching.
So just to say this, and just to go off what you just said, I think one of the best state championship games that I ever watched was in 17 with Pleasant Grove when they played West Warren Stark. So you got two teams from Dallas to the Louisiana line battling for the state championship. That was a heck of a game. I mean, I know Pleasant Grove dominated, but West Warren Stark didn't lay down either.
I don't feel like that guy. I mean, I wasn't covering
Oh, you weren't
football at that time. No, I didn't start till 19.
Oh, okay.
But it didn't seem like that was a close game. and
Yeah,
just
so-
in the score.
Well,
Yeah.
it was a 3-4 score game, and then it got down to, I think, 17 or 18 at the end.
Yeah, and West North Stars never gave up. Pleasant Grove had the upper hand, but I mean, it was a battle game. Pleasant Grove was just that much better than them, but hey, it was still a great game. It wasn't a blowout.
I have
mean,
a history of leaving before big moments in sports. I left before the Atlanta came back on Dallas. Dallas was up 35 points at halftime, and I left. I was like, this is a terrible game. Or maybe the Cowboys were down 35. Anyway, long story short, one of the teams came back, biggest comeback of all time.
Right.
And I just left. And then before the Duncanville Hail Mary by North Shore, I had just walked to the back
Really?
because I thought the game was over and I was getting ready to send out the stuff for Duncanville.
Right.
And I wanted to be the first one to get it out, and they throw that in the end zone I'd have been sitting in. So I make bad choices.
Yeah.
Long story short.
Coach, one more kid, I wanted to mention is Quinn Webb. He's a guy that's got over 400 tackles for his career, 146 this year. What can you say about him that he does for your defense?
He's definitely the captain up there, especially in the box. The way we run our stuff is the box is its own entity and the secondary is its own entity. They're two separate things, and they just adjust to each other, they complement each other. But as far as getting our D-line lined up and our linebackers lined up and him staying on his keys, he does a great job. I mean, he's one of those guys that, if he's locked in for the week, then we're gonna have a really good game plan. I mean, there's been games this year. I think Hooks was one of them. I didn't make a single call from the sideline. We went through and made our adjustments in practice based off of what the formation was, what we were going to be doing. And outside of sending, me calling the blitzes that I want to blitz, during the game, he makes all the calls out there in the game. So to have somebody like that, and that comes from a string of linebackers. Going back to D. Lewis, and Quinn got to play with D. Lewis, so he learned from him. You talk about, tradition and bringing up, kids and stuff. And then D. Lewis graduates, and Jaden Ross is out there. Quinn got to work with him, so he learns from him. And then now it's Quinn's show. So, he does a great job. Like I said, he's a hard-working kid. He gets after it. And like I said, if he's locked in, it's going to be a good night for the defense.
And he's another one of them kids I can say, too. Anybody, any recruiter that even thinking about him, don't really judge him on his film. Come see him in person.
Yeah, definitely. Come see him play in person because he lights it up. I mean, you don't. His first step to the ball once he's made his read and his keys is what's so dangerous for him because when he gets there, and he's not a lightweight, he's a big boy. So when he gets there, he brings that whole entire hat and just that explosion when you see him getting ready to drop. Like he kind of hunches the shoulder right before he makes contact, and it's fixing to be a good pop. So I mean, it's been fun to watch him.
Right.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on, and we're definitely Dangerfield Tiger fans from here on out, and we hope we bring home state championship number 7. And thank you for coming.
Appreciate y'all having me. Glad we could recruit y'all.
Yes, sir. And
Yes, sir.
good luck, and we're following you guys. And
Buddy said he's wearing a Dangerfield hat next week.
hey, man, Frank said he was getting me one, so hey, I'll do it.
If he don't, just let me know. And I think he did. But if he didn't, I'll make sure I get you one.
If
That's
they
right.
make the state championship, they've got to put all of our faces on a Dangerfield shirt.
We'll just let him make fun of Buddy. I didn't do nothing wrong.
Oh, no, hey, they like me. I think they like you. They just don't like Buddy.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to.
Oh, they like me now.
I don't want to be associated with Buddy
All right.
when it comes to Dangerfield. Buddy said they were soft.
Yeah, that got Quinn fired up. I'm not gonna
Hey, yeah, I gave.
But you trash talk went a little bit too far in that game.
All right, so I'm from Newton this week. Quinn, if you're listening, Newton said that you was a little soft, so take that with you to that Newton game.
All right, let's take a quick let's take a minute break. We'll be right back.
and we get it. The State Bank mobile app was designed to make banking more convenient for you. Check account activity, make transfers, pay bills, and manage your debit card in a snap. You can deposit checks from the convenience of your home or wherever life lands you. The State Bank app lets you organize your accounts, manage alerts, and easily email our customer service experts. Now that you have State Bank at your fingertips, you can spend more time doing what's important to you.
Your family, your bank, State Bank.
And we're back for the second segment of episode 16. Special thanks to Coach Gavin Nelson for coming over this morning, and I believe we had a really good show there. And we're going to move on into our next topics.
Let's move in. Let's talk about how Arkansas sold their soul yesterday. All their values, everything went down the drain. Tell me why that is.
Well, when you're a winner, hey, here's the deal. Petrino's been there 24 hours. We beat Duke. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
I mean, 10 years ago or whatever it was, y'all were talking about you can't be teaching young men to do this and do that. You know, we're too good for this. What message are we sending to our youth if we keep them around? And what do you know? Turns out all that was BS.
Hey, I'm gonna use my
What kind of university are y'all? You have no values.
I'm gonna use my famous line. I'm an Arkansas guy for about 6 generations. But Arkansas, we cultivated the Clintons. We need to quit acting like we're above everything. And here's the deal. Nick Saban would not have got fired for having a blonde on a Harley. They're a football
Well, if
school.
Nick Saban was watching this show and heard you say
That's
that.
what I'm saying. Like,
Hey, Jeff Long.
in the last 10 years, y'all have not turned into a football school.
Jeff Long derailed us. Petrino should have never been fired. I'm on record saying it.
Listen, the entire fan base supported that firing, and now all of a sudden,
an absolute
and now
farce.
you can't tell me they didn't bring him back for him to be the head coach after
He's
your
going
boy
to be the head
leaves.
coach within 2 years.
And I'm just saying,
It's a setup.
y'all. What's the word I'm looking for?
Sleeping giant.
No, you're definitely not that. It'll come to me in a minute, but hypocrites. Y'all are a bunch of hypocrites, is what y'all are looking like
Hey.
right now.
Most of us never wanted him fired.
I mean, I'm just the entire state. I remember seeing it on TV. How are y'all? What kind of message are we sending to the student body? This is not the way you conduct yourself. Blah blah blah. And then
Let's hire him back.
let's hire him back.
Buddy, what do you
You know,
think of it?
they're trying to bring some hope back to the program.
So
And he's the last person that gave them hope.
I've seen some people. I know some people that got on the old Facebook back in the day, said, "Get him out of there. That's not the example we want for our kids."
Well, Ben Watts never
And the
said that.
same people are over here just posting saying, "Glad to have him back."
Well, here's the deal. If you read the Bible, buddy, it talks about forgiveness.
Here we go with these Bible stuff, man.
And
Boy,
most-
see, I knew he was going to pull that.
I
That's what
know, yeah.
Arkansas fans do.
They do. They do.
Hey, but my point is, most of the people that don't want him back,
But the same dude makes fun of Sark for having a drink every now and then. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Hey, where was that in your Bible verse?
every
Come
co-
on now. You was
every-
making fun of him on the show the other day, but since it's an Arkansas dude, you're going to throw Bible verses.
Hey, we'll pray for Sark too.
No, you ain't. He don't want you to pray for him. Leave him alone. He don't need your fake prayers.
I don't know. Maybe that's what Arkansas needed. I mean, they played coming in there. I didn't think they were going to beat Duke last night, and
The Petrino effect,
That ain't got nothing to do with football.
it's mojo.
I'm not saying directly with football. Just I guess the persona of him being there. I don't know.
I wonder how much of a say Pittman had on bringing him in, because he looked nervous in that photo I saw on the internet.
He
last
did look a
night.
little sketch like
Petrino's smiling. He's like, "Oh God, nobody's saying what's up to me."
yeah.
Petrino looked at home and Pittman looked scared.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't look like they were two buddies laughing, having a good time. I don't know.
Well, here's the deal. We get to play Texas next year, so we'll see. Hey,
Yeah, man, y'all gonna be in
Hey,
trouble next year against
here-
Texas.
hey.
Y'all gonna be in big time
as
trouble.
Dion said, you better get us this year. You better get us next year.
Hey, from what I saw, here's the only thing I know is going to come from this. Y'all might get it on 4th and 1 next year, but other than that, I don't know what the difference is going to be. And because I stay up like 20 hours a day, I was doing some research last night because that's what I get paid to do. And Guess where your boy Landon is projected to go in the NFL draft?
Let's hear this. Where are we
I
going?
need some guesses. I don't like it.
Chicago.
Worse than that.
Ooh.
Carolina.
Cleveland.
Oh, that's rock bottom.
Cleveland. 55th overall pick to them Cleveland. I almost call them the Indians. What are the Cleveland Browns? They're not even Cleveland Indians anymore, are they?
No, they're the Guardians. Yeah.
That's why I don't follow baseball.
Yeah.
Well, they do in football too. The Commanders.
Yeah, I mean that's because they're in Washington.
Hey, and I don't know if I should say this on the show or not, but you know,
Well, go ahead and say it, buddy.
the big, you know, I guess since we're talking about Petrino, but you know, the Chiefs fan. I mean, did you see the
I'm
little
glad
kid?
you brought that
That
up.
little kid?
So I saw.
Oh, that made
let
me
me
so
tell
mad.
y'all what the media does.
Made me so mad.
I saw a side picture of this kid, and one side of his face was black, but I saw it the side like from a side angle, like a
Right,
back
right.
side angle. So it looked like, even I was like, why would he do that? Why would a parent let him do that with the headdress and everything? This morning, I saw the real photo,
Oh, I seen it all. Yeah.
red and black, dude. The media will do anything
They will
to
do-
create a story.
do
that
anything
dude.
to
Oh
stir.
my god! Like, I've never I've seen some stuff that you're like, for instance, CNN when they were doing the when they were standing or they were sitting in the water puddle and acting like they were standing,
Right.
And then somebody walked through the water puddle behind them. You know, like that was epic. But this is right there with it.
Hey.
The fact that ESPN was part of this, just this lie is, man, this is terrible.
Yeah. So first off, I don't. What this really ticks me off is how the media twist it. Well, that's a little kid. He's a fan. Like his dad probably, and I'm just guessing on this. His dad, his family, or somebody are Chiefs fans, right?
Right.
So he's a diehard Chief fan. He wanted to wear that to the game to be a super fan.
So if you don't know what we're talking about, is the internet kind of ran with this kid was wearing blackface, which is highly offensive. And if you saw the photo they posted, that would go with that narrative. I mean,
Exactly.
he was like wearing a Indian headdress, like probably one of the nicest ones I've ever seen. Looked like it was out of a museum.
It was legit.
I mean, it wasn't one he went and bought at Dollar General. Like somebody made this. It was legit. But if you saw that photo, even I saw it and was like, dude, I can't believe his parents let him do that. And that was my first thought. Like, oh my God, dude, they're in trouble. And I went on the entire day thinking that, and then I randomly saw the actual photo.
Yes, sir.
And it was completely different than what they were showing. I mean, it was the same thing. It was just when you saw the entire picture, it wasn't offensive at all. It was like this was just a kid dressed up like the mascot.
Right. So, in turn, what happens is the media tries to get their own narrative, burn the kid, I guess, whatever, to get the narrative out what they want. In turn, the real photos there. Now the kid's probably going to get season tickets, probably going to get to go hang out with Mahomes a little bit. So it really kind of worked out for the kid.
Man, it's just it's sad.
Yeah.
The world we live in right now, because I mean, we get stuff sent to us all the time that I'm like, if you had no moral barometer or no common sense, like you might put something out and you're just like, why?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, at ESPN, I was really, I know they're like the true worldwide leader in sports and all that, but the fact that happened and nothing is going to happen to who did that, who wrote that story, because they're the ones that broke it and started all that.
For sure.
Like, it's something to me. If he worked for me, I'd fire him, or him or her. But they don't. So,
Well, are y'all ready for some PG Carthage recap?
I still want to talk about how a bunch of hypocrites Arkansas Razorbacks are. Like, I just don't understand. I need it explained to me that y'all have officially sold your soul to win 2 extra football games.
Hey, did we purposely not invite Billy this morning for this conversation?
I didn't know it was going to happen. I just woke up and,
I got you.
and I saw everybody like, oh, Petrino. And I was like, dude, all of y'all wanted this dude fired 10 years ago.
That is not true, Morgan.
Dude,
The fan base.
I was living in Texarkana. I remember posting a photo the year after he left when he was at Louisville, and they were ranked like top 5 in the nation. And I remember posting, it'll pop up on my timeline next football season, or actually probably here soon because Lamar Jackson was quarterback. So it pops up. I'm going to share it with you. And all it said was, this could be Arkansas, but y'all wouldn't let him have a side piece. And now y'all are saying it's okay.
No, the only people that wanted Petrino fired are the people that don't drink, gamble, cuss, spit, or chew. That's the people.
But all y'all act like that.
I absolutely don't.
But you're not a true Arkansas fan. The Billy Lavenders of the world
I've got a
wanted him
Razorback
fired.
tattoo.
I mean, you're a poser. Billy Lavender has a razorback. He has a razorback on one of his teeth. That's true.
What?
Yeah. No, he has like a cap with the Razorback logo on his back too.
Dang, Billy. I didn't know you
Billy's
took it
serious.
That, Billy took it that
He's
far.
got hogs tattooed. If you lower his lip, he's got hogs tattooed underneath there.
Oh, come on now.
I'm
didn't know that?
I'm being serious.
He got.
Yeah,
he's got the tooth and all that.
Damn, Billy. I mean, yeah, super fan. Yeah, Ben, you're a poser.
He's got Arkansas tattooed across his back.
Hey, I'm an alumni too.
Okay. But
All right, PG Carthage.
yeah.
I just like making fun of the Razorback.
Bobby's back.
All right, PG Carthage, man. You know, it's always tough. I remember doing we did this film with Trey Carson. He talked about when he thought his football career was over. Like he went undrafted. And you can watch that on our YouTube. It's a great documentary. Y'all should go watch it. Make your kids watch it, if nothing else.
Well, first off, let me say something else about Trey Carson. The podcast that he did with the what's the two guys? My mind went blank. I watched the bow hunting.
Nick and
Nick, Nick Reed, yeah. So not only watch that, but also watch that podcast about when they talk about college and recruiting and all that stuff. And not only is it good informational, but it's also kind of funny too because they kind of tell some stories about themselves and going through college and all that. So just watch that. Have your kid watch that too.
All right. Well, before they do that, have them watch ours.
Yeah,
Undrafted.
yeah, for sure.
See what this dude just tried to do?
No, I wasn't trying to short the video on game day.
Anyway,
watch the game day video
Also,
first.
watch the history of Hooks football.
Yeah, undrafted on our YouTube. Anyway, Trey obviously goes undrafted, and he goes to LA Field, and he's like sitting in his car in the parking lot. Like it's a big moment in the film, and it's like every athlete has experienced that. Like it's over. And what made it, I think, hurt more is because none of those kids thought that was their last game. They all thought they were going to win, and I would even go as knew they were going to win. And like watching some of those seniors like come back on the field and walk the field and this and that, it was just, and knowing like, all right, so I went back and watched the game twice now. Here's my new take on the officials. All right, the officials were really calling nothing.
Absolutely.
They weren't calling holding penalties. They weren't calling anything that happened on the offense or defensive line. So I'm going to go with that was fair. Can we at least agree on that?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say they officiated an unfair game at the line of scrimmage, but I personally have a problem with 4 of the flags. And I'm not going to all right, let's just do this. Let's talk about it because it ended up not mattering. But Jet what's the word I'm looking for when he intentional grounding, which they didn't throw a flag for.
They made it up.
Gibson went berserk because they didn't throw a flag for it. So he got flagged, which they kept the ball. Nothing happened. It doesn't matter. They didn't score. Okay? The picked up flags are where the problem starts for me. I've watched a lot of football. I mean, I've watched probably close to, man, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I've been watching football my entire life.
They picked up a season's worth of flags in one game.
I've never, ever, ever seen more than one flag picked up ever. I mean, ever at any level. And 4? 5. All right.
2 of them were
I'm gonna try to be
plays.
as like non-biased as possible because Carthage is gonna win it all. I mean, shout out to Carthage. They got a great program. I don't think anybody that was, let's say, betting on this game was gonna take anybody but Carthage. All right, but because at one point it's really still a pick'em game. That personal foul on Pleasant Grove sideline. I don't know how you picked that up, but I witnessed the ref go to the white hat, tell him what he did, and the white hat basically, I don't know what he said, but he waved off the flag. I don't know how you tell a member of your crew who threw a flag, no, you didn't see what you saw, or no, we're not going to call that. But that is the only two things you can say to pick up a flag.
Right.
You can't say he didn't do it because you threw a flag because you saw him do it.
Right.
That takes Pleasant Grove to a first down. Not saying they were going to get any points at all. I'm just saying that brings them to a first down inside the 25. Of course, it's 25. Now, the very next possession, when Carthage breaks the touchdown run, a flag was thrown. Most of the players stopped playing
Absolutely.
because they knew. And after watching it,
Edwards is the only kid that kept running.
It could have been a hands to the face on Tank. It could have been a holding on the guy that he was on. It could have been the guy with his arms wrapped around Lance's waist. It could have been a hold on him. It could have been a flag on Jamon for hands to the face. But it also could have been a hold on the guy that Jamon had hands to the face to. So like you have all this going on. But if you throw your flag, I expect you to make a call on your flag, whether it was against Pleasant Grove or Carthage. But the fact that it was that particular guy, he had to have thrown it for a hold. Because that's not his place to call anything but hold right there.
And here's my question, Morgan. Wouldn't that be offsetting penalties and you replay the down?
Right. And what bothered
Which
me the
wipes
most
the run
about
out?
that, no explanation given.
No,
They just ran, swooped it up as they went, and ran down. And when Gibson's like, hey, the coach, he literally said, 1 second. Like, we're going to kick this extra point before you can come out here and argue about this.
Absolutely.
I think even Carthage fans can all say, hey, like, yeah, something that shouldn't have happened. Like, whether it was on Pleasant Grove or Carthage, you can't pick up a flag on a big play like that where you threw a flag.
And those two plays you're talking about, they're 3 to 4 plays apart. We're not talking about first of the game, end of the game. We're talking about consecutive series.
And then I'm not going to remember the other ones, but the big one that gave Carthage the first down on the 4th and 5.
That was
If you watch that
was a swing.
Oh, for sure. But if you watch it, the linebackers call shifts every play. I'm going to assume they do. But on this play, you can tell something was said because the entire defensive line moves. You can count to 2.5, and then the offensive lineman jumps off sides. So if they're calling –
If they're mimicking a snap count.
So that's the first. I'm going to be honest with you. Should that penalty come with a warning first?
In college, it's not at all like a sideline warning, but the execution of it's like a sideline warning. You get a warning first.
Right.
You're supposed to get a warning on a cadence. In Texas high school football, 99.9% of the time, it follows Division I football rules, okay? I'm not saying for certain, but I'm 99.9% sure that there's supposed to be a warning and not, hey, don't do that again. There's supposed to be an announced warning.
Because I'm going to say this right here. I've been to a lot of high school football games. There's a lot of yelling on the offensive side of the ball. There's a lot of yelling on the defensive side of the ball. Kids hollering out plays, audibles, whatever. Whether they were mocking it or not, I don't know. I don't know. But are you telling me that official heard him say exactly what Carthage was saying? That's a lie.
Hey, and it makes it 4th and 10. They punt. Who knows?
So I've been as fair as I can be to this officiating crew thus far. Here's what I believe. If you're playing, that was a state championship game. That particular crew will never officiate a state championship game, just on sheer communication alone.
Yeah.
There were times, because I'm on the sideline, I witnessed him mock Gibson to his face. And something like, I feel like, for instance, when he threw the flag on Gibson, he threw that thing like 60 feet in the air.
Everybody
that was
said that.
super childish, you know?
Oh, he got in his feelings.
Yeah, he knew he was doing a bad job. There's no other way you can explain what happened. He knew, because the other guys, they were throwing flags. He was picking them up because he has the ultimate decision in that. So it's like, I know they do this whole thing about, hey, if you think you can do better, sign up. This was supposed to be the best Tyler has. And I don't feel like they were on their best that game. That's all I'm saying. It's it's tough in that situation because I'm not saying it would have. I really do feel like that swayed the outcome for sure. Specifically, the first penalty that was picked up on Pleasant Grove sideline, and then whatever was called on that touchdown that they just evidently saw, but come to find out didn't see.
Well, one of the, you referenced the photo earlier. One of the Carthage fans posted it on the site, and I thought it was interesting because there was at least 3 to 4 flags.
Right.
By rule, offsetting penalties, you replay the down. That's monumentally missed because I doubt he's going to run it 70 yards again.
Yeah. And I just feel like in a game of this magnitude, and I've already said that they let them play. That like they called nothing that happened on the offensive line and defensive line. All right, so we've got that out of the way. I feel like in a game like this, you cannot have an officiating crew that does that. You have to call the game the way it's supposed to be called. And I do have a problem with the way it was called because they didn't call anything.
Well, there was
they literally, guys, didn't call anything. So it was fair-ish. They just weren't calling anything on anybody. And I feel like you play a game like this, 2 disciplined teams, you got to be able to call it the way it's supposed to be called.
Well, there was a play in the third quarter, Morgan. I'd imagine you remember it. Carthage was about the 30-yard line, and they threw it to number 5, the kid from Legion Fields, Braden Manning, and we clearly mauled him. I mean, he would have had a touchdown if we don't interfere with him. No flag, no nothing. Very next play, Carthage holds very badly. Well, their way of making it up is they just let it go. And it canceled out. No, there was nothing wrong there, but that's not how you do it. You call the flag on PG on a PI.
That was a pass interference.
Absolutely.
And there's 2 plays I want to reference specifically. The touchdown catch in PG's end zone where the ball was knocked out. Okay?
Very suspect.
I can make an argument for that being a catch. If you can make an argument for Jalen Bordley's being a catch where they knocked it out after he was laying on the ground. Yeah. If you tell me for sure that was a Carthage touchdown, then Jalen Bordley's has to be a catch. I was standing right there. He went up with it, both hands on the ball, came down, 2 knees, then to his back, and then the ball was knocked out. So,
and in my opinion,
if that touchdown was a catch, that should have been a catch.
In my opinion, neither were catches, but if you do one, you got to do both.
Yeah. I mean, I can make an argument for that Carthage one being a catch. He had both hands on the ball, a foot down, second foot down, then ball gets knocked out. Okay? Typically.
It was bam, bam.
Yeah, I mean, that could, depending on how you look at it, that could or couldn't have been. I'm going to go with it was because I've seen it called a touchdown in college and NFL. I mean, guys literally catch the ball and then just toss it on the ground. Like, he had possession of the ball.
Right.
Not for long, but he did. But so did Bordley on that one Jackson Gibson throw.
Absolutely.
I mean, I was standing right there. He had the ball until he was literally laying on the ground, and then a kid kicked it out of his hand. So if one's a catch, the other should be a catch. But both big plays. But outside of all that, hats off to Carthage, man. Y'all do what y'all do.
Carthage
played a great game. Electric environment. One of the 2 best environments I've witnessed since starting game day is going to be 2019 Carthage at PG. It's going to be number 2 now. This goes to number 1.
Yep.
Like, this was a great football game. I just hate, the officiating crew is the one we had. I feel like, if you're going to have a game like that, it needs to be called correctly.
It also needs.
And like I said, I'll say it again. I don't feel like anybody cheated or anything. They just weren't calling. I feel like there's something wrong with the picked up flags. In general, something is wrong when you do that.
Well, I replied.
And you do that 5 times, something is obviously wrong. Like, you can't do that. But other than that, they didn't call nothing on anybody.
No, there wasn't a whole
call.
So,
I mean, it was fair-ish. Carthage can say, "Oh, they weren't calling anything on PG." Yeah, and then PG can say the same thing. But that's really what it comes down to. I wonder how Carthage would feel if they picked up 5 flags on PG and they lost by 3. I wonder if they would be saying, PG fans are a bunch of crybabies if it was the other way around.
Hey, shout out to Dwight Hill. He says we're still crying.
I mean, everybody kind of still is crying. Dwight, you're right. That's a tough loss to get over. I mean, for everybody, you know, and us as, you know, fans, and we know the kids and all that. I mean, it's tough. I mean, I don't it's not any of the kids' faults.
Here's the deal.
I just feel like in that game, the game should be called like it's supposed to be called, and it may not have affected the outcome at all. I just have a problem with the 5 picked up flag. I've never seen that. I mean, you know how rare it is to see a flag get picked up?
Like I said, a season's worth of flags in one game, and I'm not sure if it's
like the white hat telling the other guys no.
I'm not saying that there was blatant cheating going on. I'm saying there's blatant incompetence. I mean,
All right. Hey, so let's talk about Texas High and Lovejoy. It seems like
we're gonna be like
seems
Morgan
like we got
with
caught
Bobby.
up on that.
We're gonna be like Morgan with Bobby, and we're gonna keep on PG and Carthage.
Well, I wasn't going to read Bubba Jones's comment, but it's hilarious.
Go ahead and read it.
What?
Oh,
Well, you act like you were going to say it.
no, I wasn't going to read it, but it's hilarious.
All right, T-High Lovejoy, man. First half, they could have went in tied 21-all. There was a blatant pass interference by Lovejoy on T.J. Gray on Lovejoy's sideline in the end zone. I mean, that was wild. They didn't call that pass interference, but they didn't. And, you know, what happened is what we all knew probably was going to happen. I mean, Lovejoy is just, they're a really, really, really good football
Well,
team.
first off, Texas High did not back down. I mean, that was a good football game.
Texas High needed to play this football game. And remember I said this, clip it, Donovan. Texas High is going to go 5 rounds next year for sure. Like, they're going to the 5th round. Now, the 5th round is going to be tough because I think they're going to play one of the Houston teams.
I totally believe that.
But they can win it next year. This game was perfect for them because they got to see what elite-level competition looks like, which is what Lovejoy is. And let me just say, this Ohio State linebacker, I've never seen a high school linebacker this good. In my entire life, I've always said Marvin Birdsong was the best high school linebacker. Played at Longview. Defensive MVP of the United States by USA Today back when they did that. Dude was, I mean, unstoppable. The best linebacker I've ever seen in high school until the other night. This kid had to have had 10 to 12 tackles in the first quarter.
Hey,
Sure tackler. The linemen couldn't get their hands on him. He was always in the right position. High IQ player. And when I first looked at him, I was like, man, he doesn't look like a kid that's going to Ohio State.
Right.
But after a quarter of play, I know why he's going to Ohio State. That dude is cold.
yeah. Man, I think Texas High, they played the perfect game that they should have played. You know, Lovejoy is who they were. Kudos to Texas High, man. Them Tigers, they had a heck of a game. Lovejoy can't say that they weren't worried there for a little while. Hey, because we were matching them score for score, so it wasn't like Lovejoy come down here and just played nobody. Hey, that offensive line, and I even told Ben this. Lovejoy had some big dudes on that D line.
But you know who's meaner and bigger and almost as bad?
Hey, that young offensive line at Texas High. Hey, next year and then the next. Whew.
Hey, shout out to the young putt, Damian Chisholm, because he was driving folks.
Yeah.
I mean, that kid's mentality it's ferocious.
Man, next year, you play Texas High, you got problems.
Hey, that offensive line, dude, and that defensive line too. I mean, both lines. They're young, they're hungry, they're mean in the trenches, and it's just only going to get worse the next 2 years.
5A football is so wild, though. Like, you never know what somebody may have.
Right.
And Jerry's going to have to put some top-quality opponents on their schedule early to prepare them for those playoffs because their district just isn't doing it for them.
Yeah, they're kind of running through that deal.
And while we're talking about Texas High, man, such sad news about Coach Preston. I saw him Friday at the game, shook his hand, talked to him for a minute. And then, to wake up Monday with that news, it's just terrible that he had passed. If you don't know Coach Preston, he was the assistant athletic director at Texas High. Just a sad deal.
Condolences to his family and the entire Texas High community.
They said like thousands of people showed up to the viewing, and
man.
It was just, and then a ton of people showed up yesterday for the funeral. So sad deal. Condolences.
Well, let's move down there to West. Well, where are we at now?
You said Mansfield and Prescott.
Well, we've got players in game of the week. Players of the week, Talon Smith out of Prescott had 12 tackles in the quarterfinals. Aaron Hampton last week versus West Rusk, 6 catches, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns for Dangerfield. That's our players of the week. And, of course, our game of the week, absolutely, Newton, Dangerfield. Here's my deal. If Quinn Webb, Chase Johnson, Bubba, and the running backs are all rolling, I really believe Dangerfield can win this game. And actually, I'm going to pick Dangerfield.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what exactly Newton has, but
Newton-
there's no doubt in my mind they've not played a team like Dangerfield.
They're not as good as Newton last year. And if you remember, Harmony beat Newton last year.
Yeah.
But Newton returned the favor this year and beat them by 30.
Yeah, I just, once again, I'm not picking against Dangerfield. And, man, I hope they go get another ring, get their 7th one.
Dangerfield has not been tested in the playoffs whatsoever. And like you said, you know, they went 7-3 in the regular season, but as Coach Nelson pointed out, you know,
They really
Chase Johnson did not play, and I'm telling you, they went down there and almost beat Timpson. And I mean, if you don't know about Timpson, you need to do some research. I mean, they're the real deal. Terry Bussey, one of the top players in the state of Texas, going to Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. And then they lose to Center, and Center's a playoff team every year out of Carthage's district. So I mean, it's kind of misleading that they were 7-3, but they played quality opponents, still competed.
Yeah, hard to go against Dangerfield in this one. I've seen Newton. They're not a bad team. They got some speed. I just don't. Morgan says I'm a terrible picker, but he's going to have to agree with me this time. I think Dangerfield gets them. I think Dangerfield can overwhelm them with their speed, their athleticism, and just with their receivers running around and Chase throwing the ball.
I'm worried about Dangerfield.
Well, here's the deal. He messaged me the other day and said the only reason he's going to go with Dangerfield is because they beat Hooks.
Who said that?
You did.
No, that's not what I said.
Well, nobody knows that.
Yeah. Ain't no sense getting up here lying.
Well, let's move right down to Mansfield Prescott for the state semifinals in 3A. Prescott's 12-1. Only loss is to McAllister, Oklahoma, who is 5A and played for the state championship in Oklahoma last year. Dakari Prater, D1 kid, he had a great game last week. You got Pierce Yates, PJ Gully. There's going to be too many dudes for Prescott. They're going to go back to the state finals and likely win it. The last thing to mention is Spring Hill is playing Rector in the state championship Thursday at War Memorial in Little Rock.
Today? Or what's today?
Today is Thursday. They play tonight. Correction, they play tonight for the state championship. It might be wet up there, but good luck to our local team, the Spring Hill Bears.
Shout out. Well, guys, I'm going to do the Big 12 championship game Saturday. Excited about that. Excited to go see Nick play in person and Xavier, and I got an interview set up with Nick before the game. So we'll have that come out. Kind of excited about that. Also have an interview with the defensive tackle from Texas. So that'll come out before the game. Sweat. Is that how you say his last name? So I got to be there early Saturday for that. We'll get those knocked out, get them posted, and then hopefully get some good photos and film of the game to use.
And what's the other one? My mind on a blank.
Xavier?
Yeah.
Xavier Benson. Mm-hmm. You know, great deal we got going on with PG to Oklahoma State pipeline right now. Xavier's going to graduate this year, but Caleb Hackelman will be going in about a month, and that will still leave us with 2 PG Hawks on the Oklahoma State team. And it looks like Oklahoma State is going to be kind of the marquee program for right now in the new Big 12 moving forward.
Yeah. Right.
And shout out to Nick Martin. You can't really argue with Sweat getting the Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12. It's hard to argue with that, but I really felt like, I would love to know where Nick placed in that. But he is honorable mention all Big 12.
And he's got 2 more years left.
And he has, I think, 13 more tackles, if I remember, 13 more tackles to tie the school record for tackles in a season. He's got 2 games to get it. I would love to be there for when he breaks that record.
How many more? 2?
2 more games.
Yeah,
we got Big 12
and bowl game.
Yeah.
Right. I think he can do it.
Yeah, the guy that has the record played in the Big 12 championship game and a bowl game. So it's even playing field on that.
So, Ben, who you picking in this game?
Ain't no doubt. Oklahoma State Cowboys.
That's what I'm talking about.
35-31.
I'm gonna go with Texas. Big.
Texas big. Nah. I'm with Ben over here.
Yeah,
OSU,
Oklahoma State, go Pokes.
35,
Well,
31.
since it's college ball, I will bet y'all straight up.
Okay, deal.
How much?
100.
Deal.
Y'all seen it?
Deal? You
Oh,
on
no.
it?
No, I don't
No,
bet.
but Buddy don't roll.
Yeah. See, these Arkansas fans, they make bad bets because they make emotional decisions, like firing their coach and then bring him back. That was an emotional wager just made.
The Petrino effect. I'm going to win this $100
Yeah, I mean,
just because we hired Petrino.
And I would love to see Nick Martin win a Big 12 championship and Xavier, but, Longhorns are the better team.
On a more serious note, one last thing I want to say, thank you to Coach Gibson on this great year. Thank you to this senior class. Kids like Akari, Jalen, K-Mac, Caleb, Big Darrell, Caden Allen, Xavion, Torion, Cade Martin, Joseph Bailey, Noah Sexton. I know I left a couple of them out, but we're really, really proud of you in Texarkana. And, in our opinion, we played the state championship last week, and we gave it our all.
Shout out to Carthage. Go win it. Texas High. Proud of you boys as well. All right, guys, that's going to be it.